What is up? I'm James, and I'm here to talk about another episode of The Bad Batch. This time we're talking about episode 12, Juggernaut. Guys, this is another solid episode of The Bad Batch, and I think one thing that's really cool is that all the tension is back with Omega having been captured, and we know that there's no tracking device, there's no way to get to her without having to seek out this alternate information, so the mystery's back on the table. Had the tracking device been with her, then we would know that just they're on their way. They're, going to make it there. But all the tension is back. Now we need to get Omega safe again, and we need to accomplish our mission. We need to figure out where Tantis is. All of those things are now priority number one. Again, we're back at it with the Bad Batch. Very exciting. That being said, I don't think I foresaw Rampart showing back up for this season. I'm down. He was an interesting character. He was obviously the big villain earlier in the series, and he just kind of got thrown away. But it's always really cool when everything ties back together and you get to see that character. And in this case now, he gets to play basically a completely different role. He has a new sort of angle on why he's necessary in the show. So it's interesting, and I'm down for it. Side note, this episode has a lot of clips from the trailer. Did you guys notice that? There was a lot of stuff in this episode that they used for the anyway, that doesn't really matter. But yeah, we're back at Rampart. So all of this is interesting because he might actually know where Tantis is, and they have to get this information out of him, but he's being very negotiable. You're not in a position to bargain, and he's able to get that out of him. Here's the thing. Does this move the plot along? Yes. But it is interesting because I could see somebody coming at this angle saying, well, if Crosshair if you'd have just made it so that you could tack on that tracking beacon or whatever, then the next episode would have just been the Bad Batch doing what we know they're ultimately going to do, and that's somehow arriving at Tantis, right? Maybe that's not what they're going to do. I don't know. But you could see how they've chosen to make it so that it didn't connect. And now you have this episode where they have to come up with some sort of alternate way to get to Tantis. So it feels a little bit like they're tacking on unnecessary stuff, but I think there's more to it than that. I really liked that segment. I know it sounds kind of silly, but I really liked that segment where Crosshair failed. And I think that is going to pay off later when he succeeds in some way to accomplish his mission or save Omega, something along those lines. But I think there's a reason that they chose to make it so that the next episodes, they don't just go to Tantis. And I don't think it's to extend the period of the show. Oh, we've got 3 more episodes to do. What are we going to do? We'll just make it so that this happens. I think there is an intent to go find Rampart and go on this extra thing, which maybe is just to learn a little bit more about the ins and outs of how the Empire works. They are really, really making it impossible to get to this thing. And it almost kind of reminds me a little bit of Exegol, where we learned about Exegol for the first time in Rise of Skywalker, and all of the steps that it took to get to that planet or that area was, I think, supposed to be a little bit more like, it's not as easy as just getting the coordinates. You can only get that information from like one of 2 things, and you have to go on these quests to find it because the Empire is making it impossible to find this because all of their crazy secrets are hidden there. And so I think the Bad Batch being able to just, tack onto the back of a ship and then be able to follow him to the source seems almost like we're not giving Tantis as a secret base enough credit. Let's see what it actually takes for somebody to find how to get to that planet. So I like it. I'm here for it. We'll see where they go in the next couple episodes. But as far as moving the plot along, that's where I think it's necessary, and I'm loving these episodes. As far as all of that goes, though, this episode really was just filled with a lot of action. I think that season 3 has been amazing as far as the fight scenes and the big action scenes. Everything seems to be moving on really well with the choreography and how they're choosing the camera angles and everything, how they're doing the cutting. I love all that stuff. And these action scenes, these chase scenes with the stormtroopers coming in and landing on top of the ship and taking out their weapons and all that. Oh, man, it was all really good. And I felt for, when you're swerving the ship and you're falling off, one guy falls off the side and gets hit by the side of the mountain. I just love the chase scenes. It all was working very well. Them getting up to the top and jumping over to Fee's ship and Wrecker kind of doing the solo thing where the train's about to go off the cliff and jump at the last second, and make it onto the thing. Side note too, I'm really excited to find out more about Omega and Project Necromancer and all this stuff that's going on. I guess now officially we know that she knows she doesn't have a high M count, but is actually more of the missing link between high M count people and however they want to, transfer that information over. She now knows she's that missing part. So it's interesting that she's locked up, and we're going to find out more, I guess, about how she is part of the bigger picture, as Hemlock puts it. But you got to think this is all connecting with how episode 9 ends and how the Emperor is going to be cloning himself and stuff. So it starts to become a little bit oblique for, these characters in the Bad Batch, because you want them to get out alive, but you also have that chance that, well, there's a reason how does this all fail and yet we do still get the Emperor coming back? I don't know, man. It's interesting, but quick side note, I guess we'll find out more in the future. I don't know, man. I was digging all this stuff. I love the action. I love the visuals. I love the journey that they're taking us on to explain the Empire and build out the world and bring back Rampart and make him a part of the final season instead of just like that random villain. Like, no, people have more worth than just that. Like, we can use him to get where we need to go and using all of our resources and everything. I did really like this episode, and not much to complain about. Again, season 3 kicking butt, and I'm here for it. If you guys think of something different that I'm not thinking of, let me know what you didn't like about the episode. I liked it, and if you are just here for the Bad Batch reaction show just to see what I'm thinking about that, why don't you guys come and see what we're thinking about with all the other Star Wars stuff that's going on? Because we do 2 episodes a week on the Resistance broadcast. So we're talking about discussions, we're talking about speculation, we're talking about the news. There's lots of stuff that you can gain as a Star Wars fan by catching our shows every once in a while. In fact, one of those shows is actually live each week. So if you have the opportunity to check us out live, come and comment and interact. And we do all sorts of fun stuff within Star Wars world. We love having the conversation. So come and have that conversation with us. And I guess we'll see you guys next week as we do episode 13. We're wrapping up on the season. Getting close to the end, getting excited. These episodes are good, but I will see you next week on the Bad Batch Reaction Show.